I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Corman?
Here.
Ms. Palmer?
Here?
Mr. Person?
Here.
Mr. Prince?
Here.
Ms. Breyer?
Aye. Here. Sorry. Aye.
Mr. Zwicker? Mr. Taylor? Roll call, Mr. Mayor, 2 absent.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Ms. Breyer.
I move that the absent council members be excused. Second?
It's been moved by Ms. Breyer, seconded by Ms. Palmer, that council excuse council members Zwicker and Taylor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. So we're moving on to a very exciting proclamation.
Proclamation. Whereas Renton is the headquarters city for the 2013 Miss Washington pageant, and whereas the Miss Washington pageant activities over the years has drawn thousands of visitors to Renton from throughout the state of Washington and beyond, and whereas the Miss Washington Scholarship Organization provides young women of Washington State the opportunity to enhance their personal and vocational development through scholarship and community service, and whereas the organization encourages civic and charitable endeavors and has provided over $500,000 in scholarships to young women to further enhance their educational goals. Now therefore I, Dennis Law, Mayor of the City of Renton, do hereby proclaim July 8, 2013 to be Miss Washington Day in the City of Renton, and I encourage all citizens to join me in this special observance. In witness whereof, I appear to set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Renton to be affixed this 8th day of July, 2013, signed Dennis Law, Mayor of the City of Renton.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Corman.
I move the council concur in the proclamation.
Second?
It's been moved by Mr. Corman, seconded by Mr. Prince, that council concur with this proclamation. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. And it's my pleasure to present this proclamation to Raina Allman, who's the new Miss Washington.
Yes. Should we do a photo here?
I guess
Yeah.
like a picture.
Of course you want one, Daddy. You got one. At least
Yeah.
we should get one too,
Okay.
right?
Where his hand is, we're gonna have to get him.
Yeah, he did. I can't see anything.
I just wanted to say a big thank you to Mayor Dennis Law for inviting me and letting me come and speak to y'all today. I am so humbled and honored to be the new Miss Washington, and so humbled and honored to be in Renton. The city has just been so welcoming to us over the past 4 years, and I've been proud to be a part of the Miss Washington organization as long as it's been in Renton, and we're just so appreciative of you all. I'd also like to say a huge thank you to Brad Brotherton Cadillac in Renton. I'm so excited to get my new car on July 18th, ready to retire my clunker. And I would encourage you all to watch Miss America on September 15th on ABC and root for your Washington girl. And I also look forward to coming back to Renton for the Renton River Days Parade on July 28th. Or 27th, excuse me.
27th.
And I'm so excited to be here for that. And just thank you all so much again for letting me be here. And I am so excited to have my very own Miss Washington Day. Thank you.
Well, Raina,
Yeah.
Congratulations, Miranda. Thank you very much for being here today. And that was a great plug for Brad Brotherton Cadillac. He deserves it, and we feel the same way as you do. I also want to mention in the back of the room, she never comes up to get credit, but Peggy Miller is sitting there, who is the executive director of the Miss Washington pageant. And Peggy has done a great job. This program has become a big deal in Renton for the last 4 or 5 years. And they have a lot of events here, and so we're really happy that you're part of the city. So thank you very much for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to go to a special presentation from the Renton Community Foundation.
Well, obviously, that's a tough act to follow, particularly when the young lady is better spoken than I am. I'm here tonight in a slightly different role at this point. I'm the current president of the Renton Community Foundation. And just for those that need a little perspective, I know the council's familiar with this, but for the general public, the Renton Community Foundation began its work in 1999 with just 2 funds and $257,000. Today, the fund manages over 45 funds to benefit a broad array of community needs. Through those funds, the Renton Community Foundation has granted more than $2.5 million back into the community, helping such things as the homeless, to clothe the poor, provide recreational scholarships and academic scholarships. And try and keep this pretty brief, but the Renton Community Foundation manages funds, and one type of fund is exactly what we're dealing with tonight, and that is the Charles Custer Fund. Mr. Custer died some time ago and left in his will 2 funds, one of which is for the benefit of the Parks Department. And he had the presence of mind to name Mr. Harry Blinko as his executor of his estate and the donor advisor for the Custer Fund. During the last few years, the Custer Fund has given money to help renovate Burnett Park and the lighting at Liberty Park ball fields. Tonight, the Custer Fund is going to give a check for $200,000
Oh my goodness.
to the Parks Department for the inclusive playground. And I want to introduce Mr. Harry Blinko, one of the pillars of our community, and with all due respect to all the other bankers in town, Renton's banker as far back as I can remember.
Yeah.
Mr. Blinko?
I'd like to say a few words about Charles Custer. Charles L. Custer, he was the only son of George and Anna Custer. George, his father, a pioneer Renton resident, was a contractor with very good reputation, having built many residences and buildings in the greater Renton community. One of his business buildings, originally known as a Sweet Center at Liberty Park, is owned by the city of Renton. And another of his last residence that was built by George Custer was Alex and Norma Cugini of Renton. Charles graduated from the Renton High School in 1930, and he started to work in the post office, Renton Post Office. And when the war started, World War II, Charles joined the Army. And in the Army, of course, he was in the postmaster's job again. And when the war broke out in August of 1945, when it ended, I should say, he was in the Philippine Islands. When Charles Custer returned to Renton after the war, and since he was not married, he continued to live in the family home, living with his dad and his mother. After his father and mother passed away, Charles continued to live in the family home on Wells Street. His father had been a successful contractor and invested his money in stocks and bonds, and Charles was the only inheritance of the assets of the parents. By this time, Charles was now managing his father's investments and adding to the investments as well. Charles was very frugal in saving his money. Charles lost his eyesight soon after he retired from the Benton Post Office, and during the time he was in the Mountaineers, he met two nurses that had volunteered to help him, to take him to doctor's offices, to the bank, and around town and do his shopping. Charles Custer died September 11th, 2000, at the age of 88 years, and he left all of his assets to various charities. But he remembered his mother was very active in the Renton Historical Society, and she enjoyed the Renton parks very much. And that's why we left the money to those two special place charities. And I think Charles wants me to remind people that those donations are in memory of George and Anna Custer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Harry.
The check.
Oh, the check.
Leslie, come forward.
We want the money.
Maybe we should do this one in front of it.
And you get the check.
Can we do this?
No, you're gonna have to do this.
Can we be in front of it?
We did not do the big cardboard check, but this one carries a lot of punch.
Yeah.
Bet.
We thought the $200,000 spoke for itself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Leslie, maybe I better hold the check.
Yeah.
For $200,000, it could be a wire transfer, and we'd still take a picture of it.
All right, my turn. Yep, come on in.
Wow.
So, who was Don Custer related to? Cousins. Okay. I was waiting for the. Yeah.
As a final point, since Harry brought it up, the Second Custer Fund made a substantial donation to the Renton Historical Society earlier this year and made the presentation at one of their board meetings. So it's very much a contributor to Renton Society in both the Museum, Historical Society, and now the parks. So I think the check in that instance was like $50,000, so that's $250,000 for the benefit of the community from Mr. Custer in honor of his parents. And for anyone else who's trying to figure out what they would like to do with their money, or they want to put it in their will, the Renton Community Foundation is there to help you. Or if you want to set up a scholarship fund or something of that nature and direct the money to whatever type of studies you wish, we're also available to do this. This is a completely volunteer board. We have about 20 members on the board, and every once in a while they pick out some poor sucker like me and make me president for a couple of years. But it's been a joy, and I just thought I'd like to add a little bit about the other good things that Mr. Custer has done through his will. So thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Can we get a little bit of a briefing on what the 200,000, how that'll help that
Yes,
part?
oh, good.
Leslie just
And help.
happens to be there.
Yeah, great.
And where we're at with the money that's needed.
Good evening, Leslie Betlock, Community Services, Parks Planning and Natural Resources. Before I start, I want to personally thank Mr. Blenko and the Charles L. Custer Fund and the Renton Community Foundation for this $200,000 contribution for the Renton, or actually it's now called the Meadow Crest Playground. So this is an amazing partnership project at all levels, and this contribution, significant contribution, help ensures the success of this playground. We are very close to breaking ground. We hope to have permits sometime this week. As you may recall, the school district, through our partnership agreement with them, is taking the lead on managing the construction portion of this project. They have applied for the permits. We anticipate the project to be completed in 2013, toward the end of 2013. and we are on our way. To date, we have raised almost, close to $700,000 in contributions. And this $200,000 is the largest to date, and we're ever so thankful.
It's very great. That's terrific. Thank you, Leslie.
You know, it's,
Mayor,
Yes, Ms. Brewer.
sorry, did you say how much left we need to raise?
We're always looking for more money. In fact, Terry Higashiyama, our Community Services Administrator, does not like it when I go into her office. We have sufficient funds to build all of the basic components, the base bid plus one added alternate. So funds that are being raised in addition to that would go toward 2 picnic shelters, could go toward some decorative signage, could go toward the nature play area, and so any contribution is greatly appreciated. We do have a website, and there, if you go onto the the Renton website, link on to community services, and it'll connect you to the Meadowcrest Playground, and any donations are greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Harry, for coming down. We appreciate it. Okay, moving on to administrative report.
I have no report tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Now audience comment. We do have one person signed up to address the council. Lori Madsen, please come to the podium, give your name and city of residence for the record, and you have 5 minutes. There's a timer next to the city clerk.
Hi, Lori Madsen. I live in Renton, and I miss Renton fireworks. Forgot to wear my crown tonight, so it's a joke. Some of you were here last week when I came, and some of you weren't. I guess there was a new change in how the fireworks ban was going to be enforced this year. So I had Chief Peterson kind of come up and go over that with me because I wasn't aware of it. So when the 4th of July came around, I went out and did some patrolling on my own, and found out really quickly that there was a major disconnect between the fire department and the police department. The Valleycom people, 911, has a special, they transfer people with fireworks calls to another area. And they thought that the Renton Fire Department was handling the fireworks calls. And so I had to explain to them that it was the police department. And also some of the patrolmen from the Renton Police Department thought that it was also the fire department's job to do that, which I was a little confused about. So I'm not sure what happened, and it wasn't communicated properly. I don't know if you guys have the report yet.
No, we don't, Lori. I'll let you go and finish, and then I'll explain.
Yeah. So basically, those of you who know me, when you see me, you know why I'm here. If things are great, I never show up. I'm a perfect resident. I pay my taxes, I love my city, and I do whatever I can to make it better. The problem that we have now is we have a law on the books. Not once, but twice. And it's not being enforced. Which means that if something's not being enforced, people aren't going to be taking it seriously. And so I would like to know how we can come together since 2005 to bring back the fire department back into the situation, because they were really the ones that were enforcing it. They were confiscating. From what I understand, I don't think there were any citations written from the police department. Don't quote me on that. I do know there was 20 pounds of fireworks that were confiscated. When I rode with the fire department, we had tons and tons of them. So, and Chief Milosevic and Chief Peterson aren't here to really talk about that, but I was really disappointed that it was kind of one of these things. The police department didn't know they were supposed to be doing it, and the fire department, they knew they weren't supposed to be doing it. So having 2 fire trucks drive around the city just to tell people, don't do that, we can't take it away from you, and we can't give you a warning or a citation, but don't do it, it's not gonna work. And I'm sure it's really expensive to get 2 extra fire trucks to drive around the city, and they're very large in the small streets that we have in the Highlands. So, I mean, I'm at a loss. I mean, I knew how to handle it before. I just said, ban fireworks. They're banned, they've been banned for a long time, and now because of this change, I feel that the enforcement of the law, it's a law that's not being enforced at this point. So any feedback, I would love to hear your feedback, and I don't know what else to say. Just very disappointed.
Lori, we'll definitely get back with you, because I've asked both the police and fire chief to gather all of the data from the week of July 4th, and we're going to meet to discuss all of the strategies that were put into place for this past event. We have not changed the policy, and the law still is in place. Admittedly, we've spent the last several years trying to really educate people, and what's really been a challenge for us is, on one side of the street in some of our areas it's totally legal, and on the other side of the street, in our streets, it's illegal, and it's really difficult for a lot of people to understand the logic behind that. Kent allows it on July 4th during certain hours. Skyway and West Hill allow it. I mean, it's the biggest show on earth to look over at Skyway, or even Mercer Island. I think Mercer Island may be outlawed, but the biggest show is probably larger than our show at Coulon Park. It takes place on the shorelines of Mercer Island. So we've had a lot of difficulty in trying to deal with this as a region, and but we're going to be looking at our tactics and strategy, which I'll report back to you, the council, on what we're going to recommend for next year's enforcement policies and efforts. So I appreciate and understand your frustration, and I want you to know we are looking at it seriously.
Because if you do have a law and it's not being enforced, it's not going to, people are going to learn that it's not a big deal anymore, and we're going to end up in the same situation we were before. And the fire department really had a big part in that. I witnessed it. I was with them. I saw that it worked. Every year it worked. So I would like to see how we can bring the fire department, the fire inspectors back into that process. Because ma'am, can I have just a little bit more time?
Go ahead.
Initially, because I've been following this for 20 years, a car, I believe 3 or 4 were allocated with a fire inspector inside. So it was a patrol officer and a fire inspector, and that's how they did it. And then it went to, okay, now we have the ban, the fire inspectors can take over from here, and we went to town. When you see somebody lighting off fireworks and you say, I'm really sorry you spent hundreds of dollars on this, but it's illegal, totally illegal. We're gonna have to take them away from you. Not necessarily even write a citation, a warning. If you take the fireworks away, people will remember that, and they won't, I'm not gonna say they won't do it again, but that makes a lasting impression when you actually follow through on something. But if you just have someone say, don't do that, and they drive away, they're just gonna wait till you turn around the corner and they're gonna light the rest of what they have off. So I personally witnessed 10 people in my neighborhood within maybe a 10-block radius. I made, if there was 100 fireworks calls in Renton, I made 10 of them. So I wrote down addresses, cross streets, tried not to get killed myself, but I'm pretty tenacious, as you guys know.
Well, we will get in
If I
touch
could
with
be a
you.
fire inspector, I offered to Chief Peterson, I said, Bellevue Community College has a program. I'll pay for it myself. I mean, I have a regular job, as long as we're plugging Boeing. So I'll do it for free, just because I'm so passionate about it. And I know there's probably 30 people just like me who would help too. But handing someone a flyer when they're lighting fireworks off isn't gonna do anything. So,
May I ask a question? Have you've obviously researched this a lot.
a lot.
Do you know what other cities do that, how do they handle it?
Well, from what I understand, the reason this kind of all came about was the 6 citations that were issued from the fire inspectors last year. And Larry, I don't know if it was you or not, or the fire department's attorney, that said you're not licensed officers, so the citations that you write they're not valid. And you're not able to confiscate fireworks, and you're not able to write citations. So basically last year, because they wrote 6 citations, totally reversed everything they did since 2005, and now they've been pulled from doing anything. Before, they were writing warnings and confiscating fireworks. As far as the other cities go, and not just in the United States as well as in Washington State, the fire safety inspectors and some of the other people that work in the fire department they've gone through the police training, and so they are licensed officers. Not quite sure if they carry guns or things like that, but I mean, if I was a fire inspector, I would probably carry mace at very minimum. But
Well, as soon as we get all of our information back, we're gonna, as I say, we're gonna have a meeting, we're gonna decide what our strategy will be for next
yeah,
year. So
but it
we'll-
was very disappointing to me that the information was not flowed down to the patrol officers.
Well, I wouldn't make a lot of assumptions on that, okay? That's why I want you just to
Okay.
let us work through the process,
Okay,
and we'll let you know.
you guys don't have to see me anymore.
No, we appreciate you coming by, we do. So, thank you for your input, and
Trying
we
to
will
keep
get
the
back to
city
you.
safe.
We agree, we totally agree.
Okay.
And we
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
I
Thank
don't
you.
get any applause.
There you go.
Thank you. You're up for election, aren't you?
Okay, moving on to consent agenda, we have 7 items for council consideration. Are there any items a council member would like pulled for discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr.
I
Corman.
move the council approve the consent agenda as published.
Been moved by Mr. Corman, seconded by Ms. Breyer. The council approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Unfinished business, Mr. Corman?
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Ms. Palmer?
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Person?
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Prince?
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
And Ms. Breyer?
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We have no resolutions and ordinances, so we'll move on to new business, Mr. Corman.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I think I just have one thing to announce tonight. On July 15th, Monday, July 15th, we will hold a committee of the whole meeting in the 7th floor conferencing center. That's 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m., and it's the Cedar River Library project update. And I guess I have a question. I think there'd be a lot of interest in this. Should we have this maybe in the council chambers?
That's totally your decision.
Yes.
Yeah, why don't we just plan on, I'm just gonna, hopefully won't cause too many waves here. I'm gonna go ahead and suggest that that meeting actually be held in the council chambers so that ideally we could broadcast that if possible so that people could see how that's coming along.
Okay,
And that's all, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
thank you. Ms. Palmer?
Yes, Transportation Aviation Committee will meet this Thursday, which is July 11th, at 4 p.m. in the council conference room. There are 2 items on the agenda. The first one is emerging issues in transportation, including Central Sound Aerospace Training Center update and 21 Logan project acquisition update. Good. And the second item is Taxiway Bravo Rehabilitation South, Reed Middleton contract. And then just a couple things. Last week I mentioned the farmers market every Tuesday at 3 o'clock at the Piazza. Well, this week we start Coulon concerts for 6 weeks on Wednesdays, 7 p.m. So see you there. The first one is the Renton City Concert Band. They always open. They're great. And then we also have 2 neighborhood picnics. Wednesday, it's the Cedar River neighborhoods down off Maple Valley Highway, 5:30, and then on Thursday, we're at Vercello for the second year, up by Hazen. And then the other thing, I just wanted to thank everyone, the staff, the volunteers, our sponsors, for a wonderful 4th of July. You did good on the weather, which I know we have so much responsibility, but everything was just so wonderful. I had so many people that complimented the city for so many great things, free things for the kids, the face painting, the entertainment. It was just it was really well run. It seemed calm. So thank you to everyone.
Great,
Appreciate
thank you.
that. Now I'm done.
Comments. Mr. Person?
Yes, I just want to clarify with Marcy that the emerging issues in transportation is a briefing only.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
With that, Public Safety Committee for next Monday is canceled.
Okay. Mr. Prince?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'll do Councilmember Zwickers Plan Development Committee for July 15th is canceled. And the one thing that Councilmember Palmer didn't mention, we had a wonderful car show yesterday.
Thank you. Yes, indeed.
Fantastic car show. Biggest car show ever, from what I've been hearing. Close to 500 cars. So I want to thank all the volunteers and all the sponsors and everyone for participating in that as well. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Prince. It was a great event, and there's a reminder to our audience that the revenues from that go to our Renton Police Department for scholarships and other programs for the kids, and it's been a wonderful program that's taken place. Is that 20 years now? 20-plus years.
8?
Wow.
Like that.
Yeah, so anyway, it's been a great program. This was a big hit this week. Nearly 500 cars and thousands of attendees, so it was very good. Ms. Breyer?
Yes, I'd like to announce that the Finance Committee will meet next Monday, July 15th, from 5:30 to 6 p.m. 2 items, vouchers and emerging issues and revenue streams.
Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr.
I
Corman?
think Mr. Person reminded me, I have one go back. On the Cedar River Library project update, I think that's just a briefing only too, right? There's no
Yeah.
action to be taken there. So I'll
Okay.
clarify that for the...
Audience comment, was there anybody who'd like to address the council? Okay, Mr. Corman?
I move we, I need to see my special sheet if we got that. Thanks. Okay, yeah, thanks. I move that the council meeting recess into executive session for approximately 30 minutes to discuss, is it labor negotiations?
30 minutes.
With no official action to be taken, and that the council meeting be adjourned when the executive session is adjourned.
Been moved by Mr. Corman, seconded by Mr. Prince, that we recess into executive session for approximately 30 minutes over labor negotiations. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.